right, folks, patriots, let's unpack this. First off, Benny Johnson's out here doing the Lord's work. Just like we talked about a couple weeks ago in one or two or three of my videos, Benny's not just sitting back, he's taking action. And this lawsuit against the New York Times is a straight up declaration of war on the fake news media. They tried to smear him with their hit piece, but Benny's fighting back, and we're all cheering him on. The left thought that they could silence him, but they forgot who they're fucking with. Benny's got like over 3 million subscribers. He's friends with Trump and a patriot who's not afraid to stand tall for the truth. And after all this, it's got me wondering, when's Benny Johnson going to throw his hat in the ring and perhaps maybe we see him begin to make preparation for a presidential run? As a DC resident of 15 years, I lived on Capitol Hill. I witnessed so many muggings and so much theft. I lost track. I was carjacked. I have murders on my Ring camera and mass shootings. I witnessed a woman on my block get held up at gunpoint for $20, and my house was set ablaze in an arson with my infant child inside. And so to any reporter that says and lies that DC is a safe place to live and work, let me just say this. Thank you. Thank you for making the city safe, because no parent should have to go through what my family went through, having the fire department rip open their door to save their infant child. And so thank you.
A few moments later.
The New York Times is now in the hot seat with one Benny Johnson because he's threatening a libel suit against the newspaper, the Gray Lady, getting called out by a YouTuber. Benny, I know his producer very well. I've known him for many years. Benny's been on the show a bunch. Benny has really just taken the world by storm on YouTube. All right, let me just I look at his numbers and I'm like, man, we're still fighting to get to 1 million over here on the Trish Regan Show, but I know that you guys are going to help me do it. Anyway, Benny has been uber successful, and I think that might scare the living daylights out of the New York Times. I don't know, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, why would they bother going after a YouTuber? Like, really and truly, why are they after Benny Johnson? Somebody at the New York Times has it out for him. So they printed this article. He plagiarized. He promoted falsehoods. The White House embraces him. Well, maybe this way you get, two birds for one stone. You can go after the White House and Donald Trump for talking to him and embracing him and giving him access. How dare he have access, right? Nobody's allowed to have access except New York Times, Washington Post, NBC News, anybody who's grandfathered in. The rest of us YouTubers, no, we're not supposed to have any access, I guess. Anyway, he's not able to overcome his past as far as the New York Times is concerned, and they're taking direct aim at him. And it's a little strange to see, I just gotta say, because again, over here in YouTube land, we're kind of separate from the New York Times, the Washington Post, and we tend to poke a little fun at them. But when do they poke fun at us? Maybe it's because suddenly someone like Benny is resonating. I think that's kind of what it has to do with. They go through a whole bunch of stuff, okay? It's a total hit job. They talk about how he got fired from other jobs, allegedly for plagiarizing. Not even allegedly. I think he apologized in one particular case. But, apparently you can't escape your past. He's just blown up, right, on YouTube. And at issue in this particular story is apparently whether or not his home burned in a fire. And they're trying to say, he was talking about it recently because he knows what people are up against in the streets of DC because he used to live in the area and it was ridden with crime and he had his home burnt and this, that, and the other. And I guess his family was in there. And the New York Times tried to say, no, that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case at all. And he's like, hey guys, what are you talking about? What are you talking? So he posted this. Let me share with you guys. He posted this right here on, on Twitter. He's got a huge Twitter following. And he said, the New York Times just wrote a hit piece targeting my wife and children. The angle was that there was no proof that my newborn child was in any danger when I was posting about the fire. And yet he said, look, I've got the security footage and the video all right here. And then he proceeds to share it.
Anyone else? Anybody else?
No, that's it.
Get out. Yes. Open up.
Can I get her first?
Yeah.
I'm going to show some of this to you guys. You can see one of the pictures of the footage. He goes on to say quite a lengthy statement. You know, if you watch the security cameras, what you see is the DC police officers using a crowbar to rip open my door as my neighbors scream, "There is a baby inside." I think this had...
As a DC resident of 15 years, I lived on Capitol Hill. I witnessed so many muggings and so much theft. I lost track. I was carjacked. I have murders on my Ring camera and mass shootings. I witnessed a woman on my block get held up at gunpoint for $20, and my house was set ablaze in an arson with my infant child inside. And so to any reporter that says and lies that DC is a safe place to live and work, let me just say this. Thank you. Thank you for making the city safe, because no parent should have to go through what my family went through, having the fire department rip open their door to save their infant child. And so thank you for your work on securing this.
And would you like to mention what happened?
Of course. So first of all, thank you, Mr. President.
You want to listen to this?
For having me here to share my story to the room and to the broader public. My name is Iris Talman, White House correspondent for MTV, the sister media of the Epoch Times. So more than 2 years ago, it was a Saturday morning in broad daylight. I was on my way to work, and a young man with a black ski mask pointed a gun at my face and threatened me to hand over my phone, my wallet, my laptop, and everything else. And when I refused, he used the butt of his handgun to strike me across the face, in the cheek, or what some people call pistol whip me, before running away. And that has deeply traumatized myself and my family. Ever since, I've never dared to walk in the street of DC at night, ever, and my family was extremely worried. So, Mr. President, thank you so much for what you're doing right now.
Thank you for being honest.
Such incidents involve not just me, but also my family. If he had shot me, I could have died right there in the middle of nowhere without my families or my friends knowing at the age of back then, I think 23.
Right.
Just starting my career here in DC without even starting a family. Right now, I'm very blessed to have this opportunity.
So you had a gun pointed at your head, and you probably figured that he's going to pull the trigger because these are animals that don't know what the hell. They couldn't care less. The pulling the trigger to him is a very minor event, and I'm sure he's done it before. So how did you? And you did refuse to give it, which would probably, maybe somebody would say that was not the right decision, right? But you refused. But I understand that. So and then he hit you real hard.
Yes.
It's really amazing that you weren't shot, though, isn't it?
I'm very blessed, and that's why having this opportunity to stand here to share my story today. One, I'm very grateful for God for allowing me to still survive to this day, but also to Mr. President. Thank you for now making DC safer.
Thank you very much.
For us, for our families, for my parents, on my behalf of my parents, and now my baby on the way. Thank you so much.
Reporters and journalists, good people, and you don't have to say it, but that have also been attacked violently.
Typically, Republicans don't go into, and you have real conversations, there's going to be a pushback. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Look, man, when I was 16 years old, I was held up at gunpoint. When you're staring down the barrel of a pistol, a lot of stuff just doesn't really matter anymore. And for me, I just go out and do my job. I'm going to speak my mind. I'm going to speak my piece. You can agree. You cannot agree. The only thing I ask is that you respect me because I'm going to respect you. Adversity, I'm not worried about that. And I think that too many people in politics are worried about some clip or some hot take, so they're timid and they won't engage on tough issues. But if we're going to get our country on track, you got to have people willing to engage in tough issues, because that's the only way you're going to find some common ground to actually get things done for this country. Do you feel like there's a lot of...
What's up, guys? Benny. It's a well-known fact that powerful people have those who could compromise their power killed. It's happened all throughout history. It is very normal. It happens in Russia all the time, or in Havana, or in Kim Jong-un's North Korea. This is a daily occurrence. Spectacularly, however, we think that our nation is immune to these types of mysterious happenstances where hundreds of people who have compromising information on the Clintons go missing or die by suicide, shooting themselves in the back of the head 12 times. Ladies and gentlemen, the Clinton body count is a conspiracy theory centered on the belief that U.S. President Bill Clinton and his wife Hillary Clinton have secretly had their political opponents murdered, totaling as many as 50 or more victims. Okay. And then they go on to explain all the very, very strange murders. Anyway, this is something that sort of reared its ugly head about Barack Obama in various stages of Obama's political life. Now, we know as a matter of fact, and on our program had Rod Blagojevich, who was the former governor of Illinois, extremely popular guy, who could pretty much have done anything, but he got caught in the trap of the Obama machine and was destroyed for it, completely pillared, was taken off the chessboard, had to be pardoned by President Trump of all people. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Rod Blagojevich talked to us at length about how corrupt Barack Obama was and how he would gladly have his political enemies either murdered or imprisoned in order to protect his power.
A few moments later.
Anyone else? Anybody else? No, that's it. Get out, get out. Yes. Police, open up.
Can I get her first?
Ma'am?
Go ahead.
Hey, open the door. We'll appreciate it. We got me here.
Like many of you last week, I watched with horror as the events unfolded in that Pennsylvania field. I saw President Trump, a dear friend, escape death by mere inches, and my thoughts immediately turned to the book of Isaiah that says, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." Well, let me tell you the weapons that they used. First, they tried to ruin his reputation, and he's more popular now than ever. And then they tried to bankrupt him, and he's got more money now than he had before. And then they tried to put him in prison, and he's freer and has made other people free with him. And then last weekend they tried to kill him, and there he is over there alive and well. You know, I have no doubt that God lowered a shield of protection over President Trump. And I join millions of Americans in thanksgiving for President Trump's safety. And I encourage you to join me in praying each day for his continued protection. You know, our hearts go out to the victims in the audience. Let's also pray for them and their families. These events have brought unusual clarity to the times we are living in.
But if you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.